So good evening once again, mentorship traders. We are on a Friday evening, which is the 19th of June 2020. This is our usual Friday evenings weekly session. I welcome all the new participants to our community. In this session, we primarily talk about the index and few sectors from a weekly perspective and what can we expect going forward. And then later on, I take on your doubts and questions. We have the daily chart of Nifty in front of you. As always, we generally do a top-down approach in terms of price. This is the monthly chart. We have the channels drawn. These are the long-term channels. Index has extended itself well this month. Almost 2/3 of it is over, and we have close to a 7% move from the index, which is quite impressive. If you look at the monthly charts, then you can clearly see that the lows of August 2019, September 2019 comes close to the level of 10,600, 650. That's where the three moving averages are also confluencing. That's where the erstwhile lows of few other months are also there. So we'll keep a close watch on this level, but that's a little far-fetched. Weekly is relatively stretched. Weekly has created a hook, contrarian hook kind of a setup, though the length of the weekly bar is very long. So we're not going to jump on our seats and suggest that the markets are going to top out, but we had that psychological 10,000 mark level clearly defined here, and we wanted the index to sustain above that. 1 week breakout, the next week was extreme volatility and gave away, but now we have recovered. This is a sign of resilience. This is a sign that the index does not want to lose this digit, which takes it to the 10,000 mark and above. Now coming down to the daily charts. I have my usual fib retracements and fib projections drawn. And if you recall, in our last Friday's meet and throughout our weekly live classes, we've been discussing the fact that the index will try its best to stay above 10K and try to break above the previous high, which was close to the 10,330 on the Nifty spot. My basic fib drawings suggest that 10,400 has a cluster. The index is dealing with this falling gap, as you can clearly see. 10,350 to 10,400 is the immediate level that this 2-day momentum should take us ideally. Because on the daily, I do not see any signs of topping out, neither do I see that on the 75-minute time frame, which is one time frame lower. Yes, it is stretched, but that's generally the case when the markets are high on momentum. The momentum indicators tend to stay on the overbought territory. As they are stretched, they are likely to slow down, they are likely to consolidate, and they should. I think from a very short-term perspective, daily lows should be considered very closely. Means for Monday, Friday's low of 10,072, or let's say 10,050, plays an important role in terms of the resilience. You would notice that 3 days, the Nifty spot has been making higher lows and higher highs. And in strong trends, like you can clearly see in this instance, generally it extends for multiple days, 3 and 5, 7 and 8, at times 9 consecutive days. So we will see, and we will keep a close watch on daily lows. A test, a break of daily lows can give us an indication that it is likely to slow down more. I would take you back to the 75-minute chart for this channel. If you can clearly see this rising channel which I have. Now, the lower border of this channel is far more efficient and valid than the upper one. So I'm not going to take any decision based on the upper border of the channel right now, which gives us target close to that 10,900 mark, etc. But for me, the important from a short-term perspective will be a break of this lower border of the channel. So I'll keep a close watch on that. Going forward, of course, the channel is rising, so the levels are also rising. So as of now, it's around 10,000, 10,050, 10,100 kind of zone. We can definitely use 10,050 as the short-term support, which comes to this high. And the index can extend further up for 10,350, 10,400. That's the view. We maintain our bullish stance on the overall market. Now I'll quickly go to the report designer. As you'll know that I'm using the Iris Plus software here, which helps me to track, analyze, and trade the markets. So I go to rate of change, and I would like to see the behavior of sectors over the last 1 week. So I'm going to drop a rate of change for last 1 week. I go to group, go to NSE indices. I quickly run this. And if I sort, what do I get? FMCG is the only index which is week on week negative. Let's take a look at the FMCG index. So erstwhile outperformer, the first sector to bounce back after the panic that we saw during the months of Feb and March, thanks to Hindustan Unilever. But after that, close to that psychological 30K mark, the Nifty FMCG is consolidating, essentially buying time for a further breakout. We did see some good movement coming in from stocks like Britannia, but it's mainly the two heavies, the Hindustan Unilever and ITC, which is slowing it down. But I think that a breakout above 30K will bring in a lot of momentum. So this index should not be discounted. One should definitely continue to keep a close watch on the FMCG, Pharma, and IT. So you can clearly understand one thing. We have understood this, that there are two main pockets of sectors. One pocket is made up of FMCG, Pharma, and IT, and the other pocket, is made up of banks and financial services. You can add a little bit of real estate and metals to that as well, but essentially banks and financial services. Now I know banks and financial services make up around 30 to 35% weightage of the Nifty. I have to quickly do a check later on. I'll do that. Is how much FMCG, Pharma, and IT will add up to. So I can check the FMCG stocks, the pharmaceutical stocks, and the IT stocks of Nifty 50 and add it up and check what is the cumulative weightage. I've not done this before, but I'll do it. But I feel that more or less it will come similar. And this move of last week, that the week that we have right now, PSU banks, financial services are on top. Media, it's mainly because of few odd stocks. Doesn't add too much weightage to the overall behavior of the market. Energy is again highly skewed in the favor of one stock, which is Reliance Industries. And nowadays we've seen a good movement coming in from OMCs also. But it's essentially the PSU banks and the financial services, the private sector banks, and the Bank Nifty, which has participated. Bank Nifty is still underperforming, but I think that a breakout above these highs for the Bank Nifty, which was close to the 21,800, can lead to some momentum. But I think close to the 22,000, it will slow down. That is where Nifty corroborates close to that 10,350, sorry, 10,400, 350 and 400 range. If the Nifty comes here, the Bank Nifty, if it participates, should find itself close to that 22,000 mark. This is where it's likely to slow down. This is the 38.2% Fibonacci retracement for the Bank Nifty daily chart. So if we see going forward next week, if the bank slows down, and if the index management is done pretty well, the Nifty will not come down as much as the Bank Nifty or the banking stocks or the financial stocks, because at that point of time, maybe FMCG, pharmaceuticals, and IT may pick up. Now, between these three, I think I discussed this in last month's sectoral analysis, which I did. IT is dealing with serious resistance. FMCG, we just spoke, is also dealing with some serious resistances at 30. And it's the pharma which is holding very well, and it's kind of doing its bits and parts on and off. Dr. Reddy, DV's Lab, Biocon. It breaks out, gives 2-3 day moves, then slows down. So it's been in the thick of things. So I would prioritize them in terms of pharma first, and then I would probably look at the other two, because the other two are dealing with resistance. And if you had covered my my monthly video, I was talking about two new sectors which are participating, which is auto and metals. Metals going forward can also continue to do well, like we have seen recently. Auto has now, after this move, is now dealing with resistance. So please keep a close watch on the pharma and metals. Apart from IT and FMCG, and if the market continues to go up, stay with the flow, and you can trade the financial services and banking stocks, especially stocks like ICICI Bank, Kotak Bank, and HDFC Bank. Now, I'll just take up one small thing, and then I'll move on to our usual doubts and questions, which is, if I look at the list of the gainers, I see small cap has come in. If you recall, last week we were talking about the mid cap. Mid cap has underperformed this week. The small cap has outperformed the Nifty Bank Nifty this week. So the broader markets are participating. The overall markets are getting a little bit more confident. And the participation from small caps and mid caps is coming back. And not only participation is coming back, it's actually outdoing the benchmark Nifty. This is a good sign. I see this as a positive sign, because apart from just few 10, 15, 12 stocks which matters to the Nifty, it's the other stocks, the smaller ones and the mid-sized ones, which have started to participate. Also, it brings in confidence in the market. We are in difficult times. There's no doubt about it, and you don't need me to tell you that. Both geopolitically as well as in terms of the coronavirus thing, markets are highly emotional in nature, and it will react. The reactions on the downside with the recent Indo-China thing that has happened has been a knee-jerk reaction, and market has bounced back well. So as of now, markets not reacting or not in a mood to react too much to that development. I think market will look forward towards positivity coming into from the point of view of us as a humanity or a country, and as a race, how we deal with the virus overall. But I'll end our market analysis by saying that the index has shown good resilience. The momentum should take us further up another 150 to 200 points, let's say 100 to 150 points, 10,400. We'll see how it deals with the resistance at that zone, and continue this momentum towards 10,400 with the banks and financial services. And when it shifts, when the relay happens, look for pharma, IT, and metals, auto, and FMCG as well. That's my take on the Nifty for the week ahead. Now, let's talk about your trades, your doubts, and your questions.